Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a smashing good time.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I would not want to. I would not.
Welcome to Dynamite Download. Cheers, everyone. Welcome to Dynamite Download. We got SPD and Booking by Bonds over there hanging out here on this Wednesday night. This road to Full Gear, man, it is going to be a jam-packed week for wrestling fans and for us here at Dynamite Download. And we kick things off with a stellar go-home show of the episode of Dynamite, man. And it did not disappoint from start to finish.
No, this was a great show from top to bottom, like you said. It started off hot with Romero versus Danielson and just ended. And the road to Full Gear is paved with blood, as we saw at the end with the contract signing. So I'm pretty excited. But we started off the show with Danielson versus Romero. A good start to the show. I think that we ended up getting pretty lucky with some of the matches tonight. Everything was really good. And we got some surprise stuff as well. We got to see some Wardlow, which wasn't announced before the show, which is pretty awesome. So overall, what were your thoughts on the show, man? I think it was a great go-home show before the pay-per-view.
I mean, it was nonstop. I mean, we got we got storylines stretched out, storylines that ultimately coming to a head. And I feel like a lot of the matches that are tied in together for Full Gear, that we're going to get the ultimate payoff. You know, we're seeing the good guys get beat down, and then all of a sudden the ultimate payoff will be this weekend for us all fans, and got to give the people what they want. Well, like you said, starting the show off with Danielson versus Rocky Romero. I loved how the commentator team threw it all back to their history where they started training. This is my first time, I have to admit, seeing Rocky in the ring. And it was interesting on paper to see what was going on with OC and the Best Friends. Yeah. And so we saw how that all tied in as well. But I enjoyed this match. I mean, a lot of, technical wrestling going on, a lot of grapples, a lot of a great blend of styles with these two. Going
a little bit of everything
as well. But ultimately, Danielson prevailing as well. I mean, this guy has been, showing to be this Iron Man in the ring. And the announcers have said it, a guy with, a million ways to beat you, and hyping it up him for that match, the big match at Full Gear versus Miro. So, what is your thoughts on Rocky's performance before I get your take on Bryan Danielson's?
Well, I mean, he held his own. This guy's a veteran. He's been in the business for 20 years. He went in there, showed his stuff. The only other match he ever had in AEW was against JD Drake back on Dark earlier in the year. So this is his first real exposure in AEW TV, and it was a great start. If he's going to be around for a long time, that'll be awesome. He really held his own against Danielson. Obviously, they have a long history together, so it was a fun match. Kind of fast paced, honestly. It was a roughly 15-minute match start of the show, but it didn't feel like that. He held his own with Danielson, but Danielson obviously is just in a different level right now, and I wasn't really ever concerned about that. Especially going into this match he has with Miro, which we saw a little bit of that tonight as well later in the show. But overall, man, this was easy elite to start off the show like that. I know we're not doing that anymore, but this is the definition of an elite match. And it wasn't the match of the night, but it was up there. It was really good start to finish.
Oh, of course. And, the crowd was hot for not only most of these matches, but just good wrestling. And, they had the chant earlier on, and like, this is wrestling. I believe that they were chanting that versus the Pac and Dax match. Yeah. But the crowd was definitely fire for this one. And it's just a showcase of the talent level in here. And I keep saying it time and time again. It's just, I can't believe how much Bryan Danielson is working. And it's one of those like niches that work every time. And like, he starts the show, gets the crowd going, and delivers these just amazing clinics of wrestling technique technical matches, and we're not seeing the 5 moves out of one guy. We're seeing a totally different matches with totally different styles. So I'm all for it. Keep it going.
Yeah.
And now when we see him versus Miro, it's going to be very interesting. And as we've let it digest a little, you still feel the same way about how the result is going to happen. Miro taking giving Bryan Danielson his first loss and moving on to the newly crowned Hangman.
I think that it would make for a more interesting story with Hangman, but I
Right.
think it could go either way. I'm not confident in either pick in that match. I think they could do. I think Miro would be a swerve just because of Danielson's name value, but they've done a good
Sure.
job protecting him since he's been
Of course
the
they have.
Redeemer, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way.
Yeah.
Especially like you can't really feel bad about losing to a guy like Miro if you're Danielson either. If that's his first loss, that's a good first loss. That's not
For sure.
a random, match on Dynamite. It's a pay-per-view against a guy who's been presented as an absolute machine. So I think that their styles are going to go really well together. It's not going to be like oil and water. I think they're going to be able to utilize each other's strengths and weaknesses. It's going to be great, and I'm so excited for that match. We weren't going to get that match at Full Gear because of Miro originally wasn't in this competition, but
Right.
I think it all worked out in a way that we can all be really excited about that match.
Dang right. We were so curious of how Miro was going to be booked after that loss to Sammy Guevara, and I think like he's not going to be missing a beat. Even if he does take a loss at the pay-per-view, I still think the way he cuts these promos is so compelling and so captivating and really on a whole nother level with the stuff he does. But speaking of on a whole nother level, man, I think that this feud between American Top Team and Inner Circle is just it's culminating, it's boiling over the top. The pot of water is boiling over and it's either going to be dumped out or it's gonna keep boiling. But I think this will be the final chapter of this one. For now, I mean, I would still be fine with a couple side matches and all that, but Inner Circle is supposed to be coming to the ring to spit some game at American Top Team's way, but they got quickly interrupted from a sneak attack from behind. But this was, like I said earlier, I was kind of booking, in my mind that American Top Team was going to go over at the pay-per-view, and Dan Lambert's fat-faced dipshit was going to take the pin on Jericho, which they called for tonight. But I think he had his high moment through that table, and Inner Circle is going to come back with a absolute vengeance. They need this win now more than ever, especially if they take a beatdown on TV and lose in pay-per-view. They're going to make Lambert cry like a little baby, looking for his bottle and his mommy. I think they're going to really make him squeam, and Jericho is going to get him in the Boston Crab at, Lion Tamer. I think they're really going to put a beating on him, and I think he'll get a little color, and I think it would be like a really great way to end this feud for sure.
I think that would be an excellent send-off for American Top Team. I agree. I think that this feud is kind of running on fumes a little bit. It felt like that tonight.
It's been so good.
It's been so good, but I think that it's kind of running out of steam because there's not really much to do. It's just them insulting each other. Dan Lambert saying that he hates AEW, and Chris Jericho coming out and calling him fat. And that's fine, and it's all great, and I enjoy the segments individually, but I think it's starting to be like, okay, this is about time. We're gonna have the pay-per-view match, and hopefully the match is really good, and then we can kind of move on. Maybe have one segment on the next Dynamite or Rampage, kind of just putting it to bed. I think that'd be perfect, and I think that this, especially, we saw a lot of reactions online. This wasn't, just kind of felt like a time filler segment, especially after the stuff they've been doing back and forth personally. So for me, this was just kind of a miss, but not in terms of the quality of the content. It was just a little bit of a, I'm kind of ready for this one to be done. And luckily, we don't have to wait very long because Saturday's coming. I just don't know if the chemistry is working for me, but that's just me. So I like these guys individually. I think that Lambert's grown on me quite a bit.
Me too, for sure.
I'm ready to see some different stuff. I'm ready to maybe see them bully somebody that can't dish it back, as well as Jericho. And that's kind of why I liked what happened tonight to a point, because they did just kind of go in there and beat him up. But we did see some some stuff beforehand with the insults were great. I don't know. It's just not for me. It's not working. I want to, and part of it's, I want to see Scorpio and Ethan Page kind of get a push here, and they've kind of gone to the background in this feud a little bit. It turned into the Dan Lambert versus Jericho show. So
Sure.
just, and again, these guys are doing a good job, and I think they're kind of playing up the way they're supposed to. But I think that this will be a fun one for Full Gear and not like a serious big match. So I'm excited for it, and I think Inner Circle is going to come out and show them why AEW is where the elite are in the world of wrestling.
That's where the big boys roll, and not these amateur American Top Team guys over there.
Not these legit fighters, man. They can go stay in the UFC.
Yeah, they would whip any of their asses for sure. But I've really enjoyed the promo battles between the two, man. It's been pure gold and such a great pairing. I could not stand. It was like piercing to my ears, Lambert, when he first debuted in AEW. But now I'm absolutely love it. It's a perfect villain to Jericho's, the hero. Inner Circle Squad for life, absolutely. This next match is definitely, this whole card is a crayfish special for sure. And this was a match special. When this got announced, this was a match that I predicted for Full Gear, which I talked about on our show previously.
Yeah.
With to kind of intertwine still the DMD and Thunder Rosa, which is where that is our feud of AEW. I predicted these six to go at it, and it was finally we got it on TV today. The crowd was hot for Thunder Rosa. Crowd was hot for DMD. So it was great. The internal the battle of the crowd between the two stars, the two clear stars of those two women right there that we can't wait. But I noticed that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Ty and Jay, did they have a new theme song? Because they're saying Ty J, and it seemed like they had a new theme song. I love that. I think they should mesh after this match here at Full Gear. I think they should ultimately, seek to grow that tag division with those two. I think it'd be a great one as well.
Oh, I do. I agree. I think that they would be a great start to the tag division just because they're so over. That'd be a great start in the women's tag division.
But I hate picture in picture. I hate it. But there are some great moments of this one. Thunder Rosa from the top, DMD kind of running away in true heelish fashion. But at the end, Ty stood tall. Ty stood tall. And then there's a theme throughout the night. We saw the opposite. So I think it's kind of writing in the sand that Ty stood tall. I can't even talk about it.
Stood tall. I got it for you. We'll fix it.
Ty prevailed. We'll fix it. And then now DMD is going to prevail. American Top Team prevailed. Inner Circle is going to prevail. Yeah. Kenny Omega prevailed. Hangman Adam Page is going to prevail. But who's
the one that won't prevail? Because there'll be one.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll talk about that tomorrow on our Full Gear preview show.
That's right. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Full Gear preview show.
We'll mention it a couple more times, but it's going to be great. It's going to be all three of us. The Dukes will be here to talk about Full Gear. But getting into this one, man, I really enjoyed this match as well. I kind of dig doing this trios match. It was cool.
For sure.
I like the group of Anna Jay and Ty and Thunder was really fun.
Absolutely.
That was you couldn't build a better dream team there. And I think
more of that.
Right. And this was unfortunately, we did have the picture-in-picture right away in this one. But man, this was just a good match. A lot of fun. I like how Britt ended up just being a total coward at the end and running away. That was just
going to be running a lot lately. She's going to be running away from a lot of people.
Well, that's why you have Jamie Hayter and Rebel there. You have them there to fight your battles when you're the champ. If you don't need to win a match, it's fine. True. It's not like it was a title match. She can lose when the belt's not on the line. It doesn't matter. That's I gotta stand up for Britt a little bit since Crayfish isn't here. But I love this overall. I think that all six of these women have their place in this feud, and I think it's a lot of fun.
Definitely.
I think that Ty, while I don't think she's going to win at Full Gear, I think she's going to have a good show out, and I like that she got the pin tonight as well. So and then there was that stare down. That stare down, and we all know that's the real money right there. It's exciting, and I think that we've already kind of know what the feud of the year is for AEW. We're not going to spoil our award show, but we might
That's
end up
right.
having to add to that as well if that ends up happening after Full Gear. So we'll see. But yeah, dude, this could have been a pay-per-view match. It would have probably been a little bit longer on pay-per-view.
Right.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited. I'm excited that we got some of this on live. Like, dude, this on TV today, we had like Danielson just absolutely tear the house down in the beginning, and then this match, and we had the main event match. Really, the main event was the signing, but we got to see like the Pac and Dax match and everything. All these matches just down the line were awesome tonight, and this just kept going. I think that there wasn't a bad match on this card, and you can just
Oh,
say that
absolutely
like
not.
that AEW delivers, especially right when that pay-per-view is coming. They know like, okay, this is when eyes are on our show, and we're gonna give the best matches we can with the best talent we have. And that I don't think you can say that any better than in this match, where we get to see the best talent that there is to offer in this division. And man, like up and coming and current, I think that just all around we got to see some great stuff.
Home run, and we want more of that. Definitely give us
Yep.
more of this stuff. And what I want more of, and I know we all agree with this, is the Acclaimed. And we
Yep.
saw them recently, and now we're seeing them again on TV. And Anthony Bowens once again running it back, another singles match,
Yep.
versus Bryan Danielson and now Jungle Boy. I mean, two elite wrestlers in All Elite Wrestling. I'm happy for Bowens, man. I'm glad that he's getting this spotlight, and I'm overall the Acclaim, because everybody loves the Acclaim, and we want to see more and more of these guys nonstop. It's the perfect 1-2 punch. Bowens is growing in the ring, and he has been more of the standout performer in the ring. And then you have the guy in the mic, obviously, with Caster, who is just unbelievable, spitting fire nonstop as always. Talking about how Jungle Boy is his fetish, and how he's leaving his girlfriend with 7 guys. Man, you could tell. I think what I love about AEW, obviously, is the creative freedom, but
Yeah.
I definitely legit think that he does these raps and does not tell the other performers, because it looks like natural reactions that they're getting.
Aubrey Edwards is
anytime he
laughing
comes
so
to them.
hard.
Yeah, with Bryan Danielson's face and Jungle Boy's face. I can't believe it, man. Loved it, man. This was a great battle. And as we saw in the match with Bryan Danielson, Bowens was throwing some new moves at us, some standing his own, and then the trend just continued versus Jungle Boy. Amazing offense by Bowens, great storytelling by Bowens. And go toe to toe with Jungle Boy, who is always fun to watch and is always innovative, and obviously the future of wrestling and the future of All Elite Wrestling, and one that has the most wins in the singles division under his belt. Very
awesome.
Impressive outing by both guys on this as well. So I want to see Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed. I want to see everyone versus the Acclaim, because everybody loves the Acclaim. Give us more of these guys, because they deliver and the crowd loves them.
Oh yeah, man. I've wanted to see the Acclaim versus Jurassic Express for a while. Just the raps that Max could throw out there, making fun of how they dress and all that stuff. I think it'd be great. But again, it's great to see Bowens in these matches the last couple of weeks, because him being out for so long with that injury, and obviously like Platinum Max got to show off a little bit in the singles. So getting to see Bowens kind of do the same thing while Max does the sideline stuff and gets to show off and be hilarious on the side and help Bowens out in his matches. I really like that. And we're getting to
Great
see like
ringside
both of them.
guy.
Oh yeah, and both of them are. I think Bowens is the same thing when he's there with his boombox and beats people in the face with it. Like there's some great stuff there. And in this match again, like this was 2 guys that are like the future of this company. Bowens is a young guy and Jungle Boy's a young guy, and they both can really show out in the ring. Caster adds a lot with his raps, and having him being able to kind of get in the head of his opponent and have Bowens, the muscle guy, go in there and just, whoop people and do some crazy stuff. And really, he's got a varied moveset, and he's a lot of fun to watch in the ring. So, but Jungle Boy got the win. And afterwards, we got to see something a little crazy. We saw Bobby Fish. A little
bit of surprise.
Yeah. Bobby Fish came out after the match and assaulted Jungle Boy. And he was ran off afterwards by Jurassic Express and Christian. And but man, this was really, really interesting. And afterwards, in the back, we got to see him talking to Adam Cole and in the Young Bucks, and basically he's on their payroll. You know, he's going out there, and his job is to hurt them before that match. And
Yeah, I
it's
can't believe Jungle Boy is going to go toe to toe on Friday, and then
yeah.
have this brutal match on Saturday, the pay per view.
Well, all I know is that Matt Jackson, his outfit was very hilarious. If you watched wrestling in the early 2000s, I really appreciate, I really appreciate their attention to detail in some of these promos and stuff. Their little digs at the WWE are
Oh, nonstop.
absolutely hilarious. You know, especially, you know, when the Undisputed Era is all reunited on AEW television, which is probably coming. You just know that these Triple H jokes are just going to continue and just be amazing. Man, like I just couldn't believe it. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, he's totally making fun of how Triple H used to dress back when like
Right.
it was the Reign of Terror era. Oh, it's so funny. But man, yeah, I really enjoy them getting Bobby Fish involved. He kind of showed that mercenary
I'm all
tendency
for it.
before, and I think that that's a perfect fit for him because he's such a good ring worker and he can do so much stuff that you could have him kind of go out there and have these matches as like this enforcer kind of guy that can just mess people up before he
Yep.
has matches with the rest of the elite. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I really like that they're leaning into that and their past and their friendship. I think that's also good. You know, people aren't stupid. They all know. They all watched. You got to lean into it.
Yeah, man, this is not the Disputed Era. This is the era of the Super Click, baby. It's
Yep.
all about the
The
budge.
budge.
But I really enjoyed Bobby Fish's debut into AEW, and then we saw him versus CM Punk. Then he kind of was quiet for a little bit, but having this happen, you're like, oh wait, what's going on? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the backstage segment. So I'm all for it, and it seems like you'll have ultimately Adam Cole. Like, who's it going to be? The Young Bucks or Bobby Fish? Like, who's his alliance ultimately going to play into factor? Because there's so much going on with the elite right now. It's eventually going to implode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And to have those side feuds, which we've talked about time and time again, it's going to be absolutely incredible stuff. Whether it be, a Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Adam Cole and, with the Undisputed Era or what, which would be pretty sweet as well. Those feuds would be really cool. Team AEW versus Team NXT, essentially, like how it could have been a battle like that. So very intriguing stuff on that as well. And I know that the chat is buzzing about, Bray Wyatt, not to shift
Wyndham.
gears too much, but do you have any? I'm sure you've thought about this since Bray was released. Like, where would
Yeah.
you throw him? As we sidetrack a little bit, I'm very curious if Bray does come to AEW in this loaded roster.
Yeah.
Where would you bring him?
Man, I
Give
have
the
a
people
hard
what they
time.
want. A booking by Bonds off the cuff right now. Come on.
I have a hard time with Bray because there's not really anything like him in AEW. He's such an
There's
anomaly and
not
such a
like him
unique.
anywhere.
Right, he's so
He's a one
unique.
of one.
You could put him in any part of the card, and he would make it infinitely more interesting.
Agree.
And I don't know, man. I see the stuff that Malachi Black is talking about with adding people to that House of Black, and I just think that would be so interesting if a guy like Bray Wyatt ended up like not being like kind of threw everybody for a loop and wasn't like
Yeah.
coming in as like the leader of a cult. It came into another cult. That would be such a difference for his character. We've seen him as that leader for a long time now, and
Right.
having him come in and doing something a little different. I think that would be really interesting and maybe lead to some storylines down the line where he ends up being, the guy again. But again,
Right.
I do think we need to remember that Tony Khan doesn't throw people in there running. A lot of time, not everybody's gonna be like Danielson, where they get an immediate, main event esque, push. I could see it being more like CM Punk or even like Miro, where he comes in and you kind of subvert expectations a little bit. You maybe have him not be the Fiend, maybe you have him be, Wyndham, and he's doing something completely different, and then you
Right.
just have him maybe go back to that place, because a lot of what the Fiend's storylines has been very psychological.
Right.
He started off as Husky Harris, and they played that in the storyline. Like, he was just a kid that didn't know what he wanted. And he was kind of like lost, and then he became Bray Wyatt, and then he became the Fiend, and everything seems to be a layer with Bray Wyatt. And you could kind of have something that's different, where he kind of goes to a different persona, and then he kind of comes back, and I don't know how that works with WWE with their copyrights and their
Sure.
intellectual properties with him. I don't know if he can
Sure.
be the Fiend. I know he can't be Bray Wyatt, but I don't know if the Fiend is something that he owns. So maybe he does something completely different as like Wyndham, and then changes personalities again. That's kind of his thing, and I kind of like that. And I think that being part of something that's part of a bigger story that's already existing would make it a little bit more interesting when he breaks away and does his own thing. So I would do that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and it would subvert a lot of expectations, because nobody would expect him to come in and not be just immediately top tier. So that's what I would do with it.
I would love to see him, because he was a character that I absolutely just was head over heels for, just because so unique and so talk about such a transformation of person, from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt. I mean, and then to everything in between. Someone I would love to see him be like that's a stalker of someone, and kind of almost not anyone directly.
Yeah.
And then pick his.
I want him to be a stalker.
Yeah. He'll just be stalking the roster.
Yeah. No, I'm just
and very, very creepily, and and then ultimately I think, I don't know who I would put him against, honestly. It would be I would want him
he
to
doesn't
go
work
through.
as the main event guy, so that's
Yeah, he needs to be up there. I think after this, it would be fun for him to stalk, like Inner Circle.
That'd be cool.
Essentially, if Inner Circle, depending on what they're planning on doing with them, it would be some kind of stalking like that, and ultimately, take over the TNT title belt or something. But AEW hasn't done that, where like a new acquisition has instantly won a title or anything like that. But yes, obviously Bray versus Darby ultimately would be great. Him to stalk Sting, and anything with Malachi, the House of Black stuff, like all are great ties for that, for sure. But as we get back on track, one of our favorites here and one of our picks for breakout star of the year, the War Dog,
there's still time,
versus Wheeler Yuta, was a last minute addition to Dynamite, and boy was it welcomed, and boy was it quick. But that's all that matters. The crowd is eating Wardlow up. He is so over already. Can you imagine when he does a full turn on MJF? It's just gonna erupt, man. It's gonna be like Hangman Adam Page kind of pops, in my opinion. Wardlow, the crowd is chanting one more time, one more time, one more time. We got 4 straight power bombs from Wardlow himself, and then good night, R.I.P. Wheeler Yuta. That is for sure. Man, but it was great to see Wardlow on TV. He's been on a warpath. Anytime he gets in the ring, he's on a warpath. And he's just, his slow, methodical pacing is so fun to watch. His dominant, powerful strength and his just aggressive offense is perfect, man. It screams babyface all day, and we can't wait for that. Woo!
Oh, man, I couldn't agree more. Wardlow is an absolute beast. He's a machine. He's dominant, and the crowd was so into this match. It was like 2 minutes of just destruction. Wheeler Yuta stood no chance, unfortunately for him. But man, Wardlow looks like an absolute beast. You can tell the crowd is just dying to cheer for this guy. They want that face turn so bad. They want him to just punch MJF in his face and just throw him out of the ring and just be the good guy that takes down the salt of the earth. Man, I think it's coming because, Tony knows when that crowd reaction comes, you got to kind of lean into it. And Wardlow getting that singles match, to all those power bombs, he was channeling his inner Brock Lesnar today, which is pretty cool with me. And I think that the crowd absolutely loved it, and I loved it as a fan of Wardlow. And like I said, man, there's still time for that breakout star of the year prediction to come true.
There is.
He's got about a month, month and a half to do that. So
That's right.
Maybe Tony wanted to throw a wrench into our thoughts of the year. Like, oh man, like Wardlow, we thought he was going to break out this year. It didn't happen, but maybe Tony watched our show and was like, you know what, these guys they're onto something here. And said, you know what, we're going to give them.
They're going to throw a Thursday night show and ruin our Thursday nights too, then, or something.
Yeah, right.
9
honestly,
tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Full Gear preview show. Bring those bingo cards. We're going to post those bingo cards now as well. But yeah, man, I agree. It's Wardlow. Until he breaks free from MJF, we're not going to see that push, and that's fine. Like
that should be the way,
but it will be the ultimate payoff.
Yep. They know that he's a budding babyface that's ready to just, to be that guy. But speaking of budding baby faces, Dante Martin and Lio Rush, man, with Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. I love this. And Dante Martin's a guy you want to root for so bad, but he's teamed up with Lio Rush, who's one of these guys that his crowd reaction was so funny because he was getting booed during the match and also had some really cool moments where the crowd popped. So this was
They were all about it.
They were all about it, but he was still doing that heel stuff. So they were just back and forth with him. I really love this match. The crowd loved Lee Moriarty, which is great. We got to see Lee get in there, and the crowd was just chanting for him. That was so
love
cool.
Those chants.
This is another just fun, epic, high flying. All these guys can do amazing things in the ring, and and ultimately this wasn't a. I think that this is going to be part of the bigger storyline with Matt Sydal and Dante, and we saw some of that today because of obviously Dante was with Matt Sydal, and we saw some bickering between Lio Rush and Matt Sydal in this match. So it was a lot of fun, really cool. I think there's budding stars in this feud that are going to be pretty up the card here soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dante Martin and Lio Rush are in that tag team title picture sooner rather than later, because they looked absolutely on point tonight.
Loved all these guys in the ring. Absolutely loved it, man. The chemistry was there. The crowd was eating it up. This is awesome chance, which was well-deserved. This was the first, other than the next match they were giving this is wrestling chance, but this was the only match that was getting the this is awesome chance that loud, and they're eating this up. And I knew this in-ring could have really stole the show a little bit just because these four guys are so just, innovative and unique. And, it's a broken record, but Dante Martin is absolutely incredible. This kid is the future of wrestling. This is the kid is the future of AEW. The stuff that he can do, and I love that he's paired with still a young guy, Lio Rush, but more seasoned veteran that can help push him. He's going to push him to the moon and back because incredible stuff out of all four guys. I can't wait to see more of Dante and Lio together, like you said. These guys are a fun pairing. Obviously, Top Flight is a great pairing, but I think this will be a nice little segue for a little bit, these two together, because Lio is so fast on his feet. He's just like this little ninja warrior.
He's fast as in the mic. Yeah,
I know. He's got it all, man. He really does have it all. He can walk the walk, talk the talk, and boy, does he has it all. But there's no other person in wrestling that has it all than this guy, the bastard Pac. But there's only one person that really can hype him up, and that is Crayfish. It wouldn't be a match without a discussion about Pac and Grumpy Dax, two grumpy men without Crayfish himself, man. I know you were pumped for this, man. Give us your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I hear you guys talking about stealing the show, and like Superman with the cape, I got my FTR jacket on, I got my Pac shirt on. Dude, it does not get better than this for me. I literally was on social media just trying to thank AEW as much as I could. Thank you so much for making this match happen. Thank you so much for letting me see this. Yeah. I felt like this was a gift from the pro wrestling gods, from TK himself, letting your boy Crayfish see literally two of my favorite wrestlers of the last decade go toe to toe with each other. SPD, you talked about it, and I'll be honest with you, I've got you on the FTR bandwagon over the course of the last 2 years here. But you said it earlier on that, man, you felt like maybe Dax could go on a little singles run at some point. And I was always such a diehard FTR fan that I never even wanted to hear any of that noise.
True.
But when you see a match like this, when you see Dax be able to go toe-to-toe with who I believe is every bit as good as anyone on the planet, I personally had him on my Mount Rushmore, as controversial as it is, the bastard. When Dax can go toe-to-toe with a guy like him, and you could see the physicality of these two guys. JR retweeted us tonight because I was completely invested in this one emotionally. The commentator team did an incredible job hyping up and talking about it. And I know Bonds, as a guy who just likes watching people just beat the piss out of each other sometimes, seeing these two just lay into each other, seeing these two just absolutely without, I mean, the lariat from Dax, the avalanche brain buster from my guy Pac. I mean,
unreal.
There's so many moments where, I mean, there was a moment in this match where Pac had spit caught in his beard just because he was just getting beat up so bad in this one. I mean, I know I'm not alone. This is as good as it gets, dude. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. These two guys are just old school, no nonsense,
grumpy,
beat you up type of guys. I loved every minute of this one.
I mean, you said it best, man. I mean, we had to get it from the man himself, the biggest fanboy of Pac, man. But I completely agree. Like, This Is Wrestling chance is different from This Is Awesome. And, the home of pro wrestling, AEW, and the fans seeing that. And, I think as diehard AEW fans, I feel like we are pretty, smart fans. And AEW is full of smart fans. They're not smart marks. They're smart fans.
Right.
And giving that chant going, they can appreciate it. And they appreciated everything about that match. And so many huge moments out of there. I mean, like you said, that brutal brainbuster from the top. But what I love about Dax, man, he can control the ring, the squared circle, not only for, emotionally, physically on his face.
Yes, they're so good with facial expressions, these guys, aren't they?
He had the biggest grumpy, sad face with that awesome stash in there, man. He was just so grumpy Dax, and he played up to that. Excellent, man. I love the grumpy Dax. But one of my favorite, combo moves is when he does that powerbomb off the ropes and then brings him into the center of the ring. I love that combo stuff, man. But it was a home run match for sure.
No doubt.
I wanted these guys to go on forever, man. I loved it. These are two of my favorites as well. I know these are like definitely your top, Mike.
Oh, baby.
But man, like these are two of the best to go in the ring. They're going to steal the show whenever they get to do single stuff. And when you put them together, oh my gosh, like this was easily the best match of the night, just because these are two of the best technicians, two of the best in terms of psychology. They could just tell such a good story. They in just one little match, they can tell such an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
And Pac is so good, and
Yep.
he's at such a different level than 99.9% of everybody in the wrestling world. And I don't think Dax is that far off, which is amazing. And I just love these guys, and I think that we saw the difference tonight with Pac getting that win. But ultimately, I love the feud. I love this tag stuff they're doing with the AAA stuff and with the AEW tag titles. A lot of fun. And I think that we get to see a lot of amazing tag teams that go at it. And we don't get to see them in their single stuff enough because of how good they are as tags.
Yes.
In tag teams. But when we get to see it, it's special, like tonight.
Yeah. I mean, we could have a whole segment just talking about everything that happened post-match.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the things that I've really enjoyed being able to talk to you guys about throughout this process is just being able to notice those nuances. And JR talked about it, the nuances of selling. And it's a lost art. And I think in today's day and age, so many guys are so caught up in, getting their offense in and doing the acrobatics and putting on those wow moments for the crowd. And again, at SPD, great point by you. The "this is awesome" chants are very commonplace in pro wrestling these days. This felt like pro wrestling at its finest. These are two guys that made each other both look like $1 million. They both beat the hell out of each other, but the selling by both guys, man, was absolutely on point. The facial expressions by Dax, the time, and I know SPD, I know how you love it when Pac just goes kind of limp. I mean, there are moments
no one
when
does it better.
He's so good at it. No, but I mean, the storytelling. Put all the physicality aside, and again, this match was absolutely bonkers with how these guys just leaned into the physical aspects of this match. But just the storytelling, the facial expressions, the way these two worked off against each other, it was evident that these are two veterans in the business that just get it. They just get it, folks.
Agree.
And the end game was not, I need to look good or you need to look good. It's, we're going to make this look good. And I think that's another testimony to the end product, the post-match stuff. Bonds, how many weeks? I think that you get a sick pleasure out of getting Cody Rhodes getting booze. I think that you're the guy on this team here who kind of gets a sick pleasure in watching that unfold because you know how much it bothers SPD and I. But it's working now. Having this whole... seeing these two sides start to formulate.
Yeah.
Cody's starting to get some pops again, guys.
I think he got some pops tonight. In my opinion, I didn't hear any boo.
Help my guy, help out the bastard, and all of a sudden you're the superhero again. I love it.
Got the pops. Let's make this clear. Pac was the one getting the pops tonight. It was not Cody. The crowd still doesn't like Cody. It's still turn that heel, Cody. Turn that heel, it's coming.
I just ordered you a babyface shirt, Crayfish. You better wear that loud and proud.
You switch teams, man. I gotta wear double those heel shirts now.
Oh gosh, yeah. SPD's trying to take all my favorites onto his team. So if Darby Allin turns heel, maybe
you should be trying to get Cody on team heel, man.
I know. I just think that Cody works as he is now. I think that he's such a perfect kind of like he is like the John, not to be, but he's kind of like the John Cena of AEW in that like he's gonna be a heel for some fans out there, but he's gonna be a babyface for the kids, and I think that that's a needed thing. I think the AEW doesn't have a lot of those types of guys who just like stand up for what they believe in and are good guys, and I like that about Cody. I think that he's doing some of his best work right now, even though it might not be popular with the smart marks.
Keep true to your values and it will ultimately pay off. Even if you're getting boos week in and week out, it'll ultimately pop. And I think Full Gear will be a true testament to what we're seeing. But tonight, I think really helped. I loved how he came through the crowd.
Yeah.
I think he's still doing the right things. I think it's going to turn for him for sure. And
Bonds is over here shaking his head in typical John Cena fashion. It would work for Cody to latch on to Pac right now because Pac and the Death Triangle are they're the hottest thing.
Just like Zack Ryder, man. He's gonna be pushing Pac off of the stage in a wheelchair, and you're going to be so angry that you were so naive.
I see your wheels turning. I can tell. You're Mike. You're being naive here, man. Come on, Crayfish. Before you know it,
this was a clean sweep. Get the cleaners out. Top performer. And I mean, I think this is unanimously when anytime Pac is on the card. I mean, how could you argue with any of his matches not being the top match?
I'm curious to see what his stats are when his appearances to his like performer of the night on our show. We should go back and
we should
the stats.
I have to literally like hold back because I mean I could easily give him top performer every single time he's on. I mean, you said I mean, and there is some bias there because I am such a big fan of his. But when you see what he does, he's as close to flawless of a performer as it gets to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me. I'm smiling ear to ear seeing you guys on board. Clean sweep, baby. It's been a long time since we've had a sweep like this.
It's agree. And just to set the stage, we don't tell each other. Everyone texts me. I pick mine, and then I have the guys, the Dukes, text me separately of their top performer. So we're not kind of like in on this together, but this is definitely a well-deserved clean sweep.
And on a killer show, right? The go home show before, like, for the go home Dynamite before Full Gear. And there were a lot. I mean, there were a lot of great matches tonight, a lot of great showcases for individual performers. I love seeing the War Dog unleashed tonight.
Of course.
That women's the 6-woman tag match was fantastic.
There were a lot of candidates for this.
A lot of great stuff on tonight's show. But man, for this performance, Pac going toe-to-toe with Dax and really killing it. I'm glad to see you guys on board, man. Team Dynamite download.
I do think this one was just as much about his opponent as well, too, because I think that the fact that he was wrestling Dax just made him, like, Pac, look even better than he always looks. Having a guy that can raise that bar for you, that just makes it even better, because, like, Pac usually elevates everybody he's in the ring with, but man, like, when you can elevate each other like that, you have something special.
We talk about it all the time.
The definition of that is
iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
Yeah, baby.
True definition of that.
That's right.
And stick with us, Crayfish. This is our last segment of the night. We're going to talk about the contract signing. This is a little taste of our Full Gear preview show. A little taste that you want to take a swing at me? I love those. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our Full Gear preview show will be live. Join us. All three of us are going to bring in with our own predictions, and we're going to throw up that bingo card for you guys to participate as well. But contract signing, it was signed in blood tonight by Kenny Omega, guys. Man, this segment got real. It got deep. The Elite and Dark Order were banned from the arena. Man, I loved how both guys, brought it all together. It really, got deep in this segment, man. What did you think?
I'll let you start off, Crayfish.
Okay.
You missed the first 3/4 of the show. I'll let you take this one.
Well, no, man. I thought it was great seeing Don Callis come back. I missed Don.
Agreed.
I thought Kenny
said no one ever. Actually, he's great, but
everybody loves Don.
I mean, the hot new thing as far as cheap heel heat for managers go, Dan Lambert, that fat faced dipshit, has been stealing some of Don's thunder of late. But but Don is as good as it gets when it comes to that, like just being so good at being bad. I love what he does and what he adds to it. But no, I thought this was great. I think that Kenny has proven over the course of his championship run that he can carry a segment, even with guys who aren't necessarily comfortable on the mic very much. And for me, this was more of a litmus test for Hangman. We're getting more and more opportunities to see him really leaning into this confidence. And, during that time, for the most of his run, kind of a somber, down and out kind of mentality, kind of easy leaning into the drinking of the beer and the whiskey, and a man of few words. Being a champion, being a world champion, you have to be able to carry a segment. You have to be able to command that spotlight. And I felt like he went toe-to-toe with Kenny in this contract signing, and I thought this was a really big moment for Hangman to be able to showcase he's ready. I thought that this worked out really well. In typical contract signing fashion, things got physical. But I thought that this one was a really good moment for Hangman and a taste of what's to come during his championship run, which I think all three of us here will get into tomorrow night, but I'd like to talk to you more about that one tomorrow.
That might be another clean sweep right there, if you know what I mean, and I think you do.
I hope our bingo cards look a little bit more varied than last time, because I think last time we had like 2 differences on all of our cards, and it was pretty insane. But yeah,
even though you're healed and I'm a babyface, we do have a little bit of similarity choices on talent level.
Oh yeah, we all kind of, even though we look at things in a different light in terms of his rooting for heels and baby faces, we all kind of have the same thoughts on how stuff goes and stories. But yeah, Crayfish, I agree. I think this was a big moment for Hangman. He needs to be able to show that he can be that guy. If he's going to be given that strap and be the man, he's got to be the man. He's got to show, hey, Kenny Omega's been considered, the best wrestler in the world for a long time, or one of the best wrestlers in the world for a long time. I got to go toe to toe with him and then take the belt off this guy who's been running the show for a year. And I think that this was a good first step. And this isn't really the first step, but this is a good step.
Yes.
And I think that on Saturday, we're going to see all that culminate, his confidence and him end up being the champ, because ultimately Kenny Omega is still trying to get in his head, and it's not working anymore. Even though he kind of, he did draw blood tonight and he signed that contract in blood, Kenny's the one that seems like he's on the edge. Like, he's ready to kind of lose it. He's not the confident guy. He's trying to burn the psyche of Hangman Adam Page, and it's not working. And it hasn't been working for Kenny for a little while now. I think that his shtick is getting figured out by a lot of the talent, and Hangman might just be talented enough to take that belt off of him. He might be the guy that's ready to do that.
Yeah,
As the Kenny Omega mark here, SPD, what do you think? You think that Kenny's a little rattled?
I don't think Kenny's necessarily rattled with any of the mind games, but I think Kenny, his time has come. Like, I've loved his reign, and I love love Kenny Omega, but it's Hangman's time. I don't think it's anything that Hangman or Kenny's done wrong, but it's Hangman's time. He's got the momentum. He's in a right mindset. I think he's seeing clearly. He's got friends that, support him and uplift him. And it just he's playing his cards, drinking his whiskey, and everything is lining up. He's got the royal flush on the table, and he's just waiting to cash in, and he's going to cash in at Full Gear. I think it's all gravy right here. Even though we will get I bet you a few shenanigans, but honestly, like, it's going to be one of the biggest parties of the night once Hangman ends Full Gear, riding high with gold in one hand, a cold brew in another hand.
Yeah, man.
I can't wait for it. It's just the perfect timing for it all. And it just makes so much sense. And I don't see any other way to book it.
And we head into the new year with so many new possibilities on the horizon for challengers. And I think that, although I could rattle off countless names of people I'd like to see challenge Kenny for the belt, that we still haven't seen, I think that having Hangman as champ allows for some new, fresh, exciting matchups that, I'm excited for. I think that it also allows, we've seen a lot of baby faces get elevated over the course of Kenny's run to be able to go toe to toe with him. We think about some of the rubs that guys like Dante Martin and Jungle Boy, and we can go on and on about guys that have gotten those opportunities.
Sure.
But as a heel here, I'm kind of excited to see who are some of those underdog heels who are some of those next level heels that can get those title shots. I mean, I know that I think all of us here, Bonds, I'll let you go ahead and say the guy's name to begin with. There's a guy on the tip of all of our tongues with the work that he's doing right now. But there's so many other names that I think would benefit from getting opportunities too, right? So I think that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's time for a change at the top. I think it's going to be like a new season of a TV show
for the main event.
It's time. Yep. Oh man, we gotta get John Silver to always do his talk or his lip syncing of Mark Henry. That was so funny. Good. He needs to just be there next to Mark, and every time he does that, and just say it with him. That'd be so funny. But yeah, this is like going to be like the new season of a TV show. Like we always say that at these pay-per-views, they got 4 a year. And we split AEW into quarters. And this is going to be the era of Hangman Page. And I think that tonight, we got to see one last bit of the downtrodden just before he comes up out of the ashes and ends up that champion. It's going to be a lot of fun, and Full Gear is going to be great. And tomorrow, guys, at 9:00, we get to talk about Full Gear for as long as we go. We get to go over our bingo cards. We get to go over our picks, predict what's going to happen on the show. And I cannot wait because Full Gear, the hype for Full Gear is real.
It's real,
and
dude.
We're going to show that out tomorrow. It's going to be a blast.
I mean, all out, like I said in the chat, honestly, guys, it feels like it was yesterday. It was such an epic, fantastic, long, lots of drinking, lots of late nights, but well
amazing
worth it,
weekend.
amazing weekend that we will not forget for sure. And it was like, how do you top this? I don't think we're going to get many surprise debuts, but I think we're just going to get This Is Wrestling amazing matches. And looking at the full card, which we saw on 2 matches added tonight, the buy-in with Thunder and Sheeta, 2 pillars of the women's division.
Love that pairing.
Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter, which makes sense because obviously those are battles in the next round of the TBS tournament. And then Cody Rhodes, which was kind of, we predicted that Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Malachi and Andrade. That one's going to be a banger of a match for sure. So adding that to our bingo cards.
How does that just get thrown in? How does a match like that just get thrown in? I mean, that is unbelievable. That is so awesome.
It's like,
man, I can't wait.
Oh, by the way, we're adding this
on the pre-show.
Yeah, no problem. We're just gonna throw 4 of the best guys on the planet right now on a pre-show. Enjoy. It's just unbelievable what AEW is doing right now. This company is so fun to watch and be fans of, and this journey of Dynamite Download, we've gone through a lot of. We've seen this evolution, and the roster is so stacked right now. It's unbelievable, man. This card is ridiculous. I can't wait to talk to you guys more about it tomorrow, man.
Well, man, Crayfish, it was a great surprise. I mean, we couldn't have talked about that match without you.
Had to get it. I rocked the FTR jacket and bastard shirt.
2 for 1.
Had to do it. I love both those guys. Thanks for making room for me on the show tonight, fellas.
Dude, we'll talk more tomorrow. Dynamite for sure. Everyone, please join us tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of interactive fun. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bonds, Crayfish, SPD, signing off for Dynamite Download, episode 59.